I have given a name to my pain. The Batman.
Always waiting for some Batman to save you.
It's simple. We kill the Batman of Gotham.
You don't really think you'll win, do you?
I'm Batman.
Hey now, welcome to the Batman on Film vlog. This is episode number 9. Right, Rick?
Episode 9. It kind of feels like Star Wars right now.
You're good at keeping up with the numbering of episodes. That's why I had to check with you first. So we have a special guest today, this morning, this afternoon, or whenever you're watching this, because we're not live at the moment. It would be Itzmoe, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And she was the young lady who got some publicity for apparently what looked like a march, a protest, whatever you want to call it, just expressing her First Amendment rights to free speech and assembly and petition in front of Warner Brothers Studios in Burbank, California, in regards to a possible release of a cut of Justice League that would be Zack Snyder. So explain exactly what it was. I know you told me before we started it was more of a photo, but what was the whole thing anyway, from your point of view?
Okay. Well, first of all, I had nothing to do with the publicity. Like, I'm a small YouTuber. Like, I've done other events before where nobody shows up, so I thought it was gonna be the same thing.
Okay.
So you know, all of that I had nothing to do with like the media or whatever, because I was at work when like this was spreading, and then I saw these tweets. I'm like, okay, somehow this got around. But I just wanted, because you know, I watched you know, some background. Okay, I saw BVS in theaters, theatrical cut. I enjoyed it. I was one of the few people that actually liked it. But then I saw the one time they showed the director's cut of BVS in theaters, I actually went and I loved it. It was so much better.
Okay.
And I felt so bad for Zack. Like, I just wanted to give him a hug. Like, why did they do this to your film? Like, it was so much better. Like, your vision was so much better. And so I was really hoping they wouldn't do that with Justice League. Like, I'm like, please don't make that same mistake. And then especially since he had to leave, and then they said, oh, we're going to still keep his vision. So I'm just like, okay, I believed them when they said that.
Okay.
And then they started making all these changes and, you know, getting rid of Junkie and everything. And I was like, oh, okay. But then I went to see Justice League. I was actually at the premiere. And I liked Justice League. You know, I enjoyed it. But then what made me kind of like, oh, okay, I need to do something was I saw the Kevin Smith's podcast, like the one he has like on his channel, Batman on Batman. And one episode he... somebody in the audience asked him, like, do you think we'll ever see Zack Snyder's cut of Justice League? Oh, first of all, just from the trailers, we know stuff was cut out because, you know, I remember when I saw the movie, I was like, all these things that I was expecting to see weren't in the movie, and I was just like, what the heck? You know, I was looking forward to seeing all these different lines and things in the movie, and they weren't in there. So we know, you know, we already know from that stuff was cut out. And then, you know, in the podcast when that fan asked Kevin about Zack Snyder's version, Kevin was like, oh, well, I'm glad you brought that up. And then he pulled out on his phone, like, this website that had all this list of, like, extended and deleted scenes, and he was going through all of them. And I was just like, oh my god, like, you know, and I was hearing all these, like, scenes that would have been so cool to see, and I think would have made the movie better and added more context and everything. Like, I was just so sad. I felt bad for Zack again. I'm like, they did this again. And then there was a lady in the audience who said, she confirmed, she's like, I actually saw like most of those scenes. So, and then Kevin Smith asked her, which version did you like better? Like the one that you saw with most of Zack's stuff, or the one that you saw in theaters? And she said she liked Zack's version better. So after I heard that, I was just like, oh my gosh, they did it again. So I just wanted to show support for Zack and let Warner Brothers kind of, especially because I'm like here in LA, I don't live too far from Warner Brothers, so I was like, I'm here, so why can't we do something like to actually like get off of the internet and be there in person and show them that like we really want this, that we're not just like online like complaining, you know, like we're actually gonna go there and like physically do something. So
I applaud that.
Oh, thank you. So that was
no,
it,
I really do. When you talk about getting off a keyboard and going to do something, even if I don't like what you're doing, I'm not implying I don't like this. I just mean it could be anything political, whatever. But actually getting out and doing something in person is not being a how do we want to call it, a keyboard warrior, right? And actually, I applaud that. I really do.
Yeah. So that was, I mean, that was it, and I just kind of wanted like a way to kind of physically show like Zack has like a lot of support, and even though, you know, not that many people showed up, but I was happy with whoever showed up. Even if a few people went, I was just happy that some people went, because I've done other events where nobody goes. So I was just happy, and I mean, we got a lot of support. A lot of people told us like from all over the world, like, I wish I could be there with you guys. So I know if like everyone could, we could have gotten, you know, so many people. But
yes. No, are you a Zack Snyder fan first, or are you a DC fan, or what's the dynamic here?
Well, I grew up loving DC. Okay. You know, watching all the, you know, Batman, Tim Burton movies, animated series, Adam West. So Batman was like my first one that I was really into.
That's good.
Yeah. And then, you know, I just got to know more of the characters through the comics, the animated films, you know, the shows and everything. So, you know, so I guess I'm more DC, but I do like Zack Snyder as well. Like, I love 300, Watchmen. So, you know, like even before he was involved with DC, I liked Zack Snyder. And I didn't like all the hate. Like, I feel like he gets so much like hate that's just unnecessary. Like, it's okay if you don't like his films, but some people are just like jerks about it. Like, you can like dislike a film without being an a-hole about it, you know? And, you know, there's a clip where I heard Amy Adams. I think if you just search like Amy Adams talking about Zack Snyder, you can find it. But there's a clip, a recent one, where she was talking about all the hate that he gets, and she was getting like kind of emotional. Like, she almost like was gonna cry, because she's like, he's such a nice guy, and like he's such a great director. He works with his actor so well. He'll like kind of change his way of directing to accommodate the actor, and that kind of make me. That's kind of how I feel too. It's like seems like such a nice guy, and it's, you don't have to like his movies, but don't be a jerk to him. Like,
Bill's met him, and
I've
we've been on the phone
Zack,
with him,
I've met Zack at Comic-Con. Oh, it was when Sucker Punch was coming out, the summer before that, and talked to him for 30 minutes. I talked to him at the I went to the Man of Steel premiere in New York and talked to him at the after party for a long time. I'm a big defender of Man of Steel, and in fact, the first in-theater poster for Justice League, which was released last April, was done through Batman on Film exclusively, the exclusive release. And Zack actually called me on the phone and asked if I would be interested in debuting that poster, which I thought was great, you know. And then I didn't know then what was all going on in the background. So that my question is, so when like Batman on Film was reporting back in late May that the reshoots were significant and were going to cost a lot of money, and they were going to alter the film quite a bit, you were still buying the company line of that Joss Whedon just came on board to finish Zack's vision, quote unquote.
Yeah, exactly. I believed him, so yeah.
Well, you know, a lot of people did, and one of the things that you said earlier that stood out, which is one of the angles that I personally tried to take, Bill, when we were defending our reporting, because we got, and this is not about us, but it's relevant to the conversation. BOF, Bill and I in particular, Joel, Justin, and Ryan too, for that matter, all of us did. We got a lot of heat for what we were reporting because we had a lot of inside sources that we knew a lot of information in terms of what was really going on. And and this is coming full circle to what you said, when he replaced Junkie with Danny Elfman and tried really hard to explain to people how significant it is when a director comes in and changes the composer. That's like taking a main character out of a movie and recasting it. That's a big deal. You pointed that out earlier. I found that's interesting. When you found that out, you said just a moment ago that you were buying the company line. Would that be? Is it fair to say that maybe around the time that was announced about Danny Elfman that you started to get a little suspicious about it?
Yeah, because like you said, that's a huge change, especially because that's also, I think, part of like Zack's vision or his movies is the composer, and it's like, well, like I mean, I don't dislike Danny Elfman. I liked, you know, his Batman stuff, the '90s, the Edward Scissorhands, Nightmare, you know, Before Christmas. I love all of that. So it wasn't like anything against Danny, but it's just like that is a really big change.
Yeah, that's a big change.
Yeah. So, but I don't know. I guess I was still like holding out hope. I wasn't like completely like, you know, because I don't know. You know, I haven't seen the movie yet, so I didn't want to judge yet. But I was just like, wait, that's a little much.
When you watch Justice League, do you mind me asking how many times you've seen it?
I saw it in theaters 3 times.
Okay, I think it's about, I've seen it 3 or 4 myself. Were you able to sort of distinguish, being a Zack Snyder fan, like you've said, you could watch a scene saying, okay, that's Snyder, that's probably Joss. Do you feel like you had a pretty good feel of that?
I guess I wouldn't be able to. I don't feel like I could say 100%, but some, like, first of all, the Superman ones were obvious just because of this. Like, obviously, all the ones where the lip was messed up, obviously Joss. So that's
right.
Way.
Right.
And then, I guess in some scenes you could kind of notice like a little bit of maybe like Ben's face. You know, like some were saying he looked a little fuller in some of the scenes, and then, so yeah, slight differences there, and then just some of the like more humorous lines I felt. I mean, I feel like Zack would probably still have some humor, but like, I just, you know, I think I know some of them were added by Joss. I think the one where it was not really a line, but the scene where Flash, he lands on top of Wonder Woman, that was shot like with a body double too, like during the reshoot. So that was not a Zack Snyder thing, and also like, just from his movies, I wouldn't really see Zack doing something like that to Wonder Woman. So,
I got you. Let me ask you this: if I told you, okay, I'm with you on the, now I'm not a big fan of Batman v Superman. I wasn't, and to be honest, and I thought that the extended cut it fleshed out some of the story a little bit better, especially the Superman thing, Superman and the being framed for killing those people in Africa or wherever it was, and so forth. That part, but for the most part, it's the same film. It's totally the same film. It wasn't cut to change the tone or anything. It was actually cut just to make it shorter. That was the reason behind that. So if I would tell you, and I would like your reaction, if I told you that in this case it was a screening probably a year ago, around January of 2017, where the studio felt like what was filmed under Zack and his first cut, that movie was going to be unwatchable, and that led to all of these changes, what would be your reaction to that, if you don't mind?
Those are questions.
So basically what he's saying is that we're aware of a screening that took place in January of 2017 that was sort of the Snyder cut, so to speak, and the studio more or less rejected it. And that was the catalyst for the changes. That's probably around the time Joss got his initial phone call. Yeah,
it wasn't to cut the film and make it shorter. It was to change the film completely.
To change the film.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's hard for me to say if I haven't seen the movie. Like with BVS, it was kind of hard. It's easier for me to say because now I've seen the director's cut. You know, I know what was in there. But I don't know. I just feel like, in general, like, they should trust their directors. Like, I feel that's kind of why I think BVS was better. Because I honestly think in BVS they cut out a lot of important information. They cut out the fact that there was lead in the wheelchair, which is very important. They completely cut that out. You know, that the other lady was an actress. You know, so... And then Patty Jenkins, you know, they seem to like trust what she did, and she even had to like fight the studio for the No Man's Land scene. So the studio's not always right, you know, the upper, you know, the executive. So like,
no, they're
if
not,
she would have just listened to them, you know, we would have been deprived of like one of the best scenes in Wonder Woman. So because like the studio says it's not good or they don't like it, like I'm not always gonna think that they're right, because, you know, if we always listen to them, all the movies would not be. They wouldn't be good. So it's hard for me to say.
That's why I've ran this site for 20 years. Is basically I do what you did in front of Warner Brothers, but I do it, you know, through words and these vlogs and podcasts and so forth, you know, to try to lobby Warner Brothers to do the character of Batman right, and DC on film for that matter. I thought, you know, I love Wonder Woman, and I'm looking forward to that. But you know, there are a lot of changes coming. So, would you have rather? I mean, in hindsight, I think we've talked about this, Rick. In hindsight, it's almost like they might as well have just released Zack's vision of the film, his cut of the film, and not had made all the changes, not did all the reshoots and rewrites under Joss Whedon, because the film didn't do that well anyway. So you know,
exactly.
yeah.
No, and the problem with that movie is that it is not, just like Bill was saying earlier, and I agree with you on BVS. I actually like it more than Bill does, although I do have problems with it. But I do, you know, I gave it like I think a B- on my initial review. It's a C for me right now, but I'll leave it there. But regardless, but I like the extended cut better. I agree that I don't think it fundamentally changes the film, but it does add more depth. First and foremost, it gives Henry Cavill more screen time, and I love him in the role. So that alone for me is worth watching the extended cut. More of him is always better, especially as Superman. He's just great as Superman. He's my favorite Superman since Chris Reeve, and that's a big deal. But with Justice League, it's not about an extended cut, time getting cut. This was a hybrid of two different directors' visions, and I don't know what the breakdown is, Bill. I know that you and I are privy to certain things about this. We'd rather not say on the record, but I know that at very best, this is a 65-35 movie. Would you say that's fair, Bill? If it's even that high?
I think it's closer to 50-50. You know?
Yeah, it may be when I think about everything and I break it down. So my point is this: call it 60-40, call it 50-50. At the end of the day, it is two different directors, and I think the movie does suffer because of that. I think it's a mesh of two different visions, and I think that's why it doesn't work. And I enjoyed Justice League. I thought it was fun. I personally think all those characters that we all three love deserve a better platform. I don't think any of us would disagree with that. And maybe Zack's original vision for the film was that. I don't know. We haven't seen it. I can't say for sure on that myself. But this whole thing with Justice League is just a whole different animal. It's two different directors. It's two different visions. And so because of that, because it would cost so much and take so much time to bring Zack's vision back, because I personally know a guy that saw a cut of that film as well. And what he said is a great deal of the film was storyboards. So a lot of it hadn't even been shot yet. It was more just what was coming next and what was happening. Yeah. So anyway, my point to all this is that with all the money that it would take, because I know you probably got to go, so we'll wrap with you here, but with all the money that it would take to finish it, and the fact that Justice League maybe broke even as is, what do you think the odds are of us ever actually seeing a finished cut that would literally cost millions of dollars for the studio to fix?
Oh, well, I just want to clarify, because people have been saying, like, I can't speak for anyone else that, like, supports this campaign, but for me, like, that I never have ever said that I want them to bring Zack back. I know he left for a reason, and, I know it would cost a lot of money, so that is not what I'm asking at all. All I, like, for me, like, what I would want is just what was cut out. Can we see that? That's all I'm asking. So I don't know how much money that would cost. Like, really, like, whatever you cut out, can we just see that on, like, a deleted extended scene section of the DVD? I'm not asking for the completed film. Like, that's just kind of like the easy hashtag to use, like, release a Snyder cut.
Okay.
But some people might want them to finish the film. That's not what I'm asking for at all, because I know stuff was cut out. A lot of us know just because of the trailers. That's obvious. So it's like, can we just see that? You have it. Can we just see it?
You want to see, like in a video release, in extras, they have some of the stuff that they could release that was finished, and because part of the problem is the stuff wasn't finished, and there's no special effects, there's none of that. That's where the money issue comes in. Why I don't think a cut of that will happen, but I get what you're saying. Yeah,
she just wants to get the scenes out, and
the scenes that you
I don't see why they couldn't do that.
And then the scenes that they were already leaked, by other people, like the one with Flash saving Iris. Like, obviously that exists. Can we see that, like, on the DVD? And other DVDs I've seen, they'll have like animatics, they'll put that on special features, and
Yes.
I watch that. I think that's interesting.
Yeah.
Like, even if it's not finished, just let us see what Zack wanted. That way we kind of have a better idea of like what his actual vision was, because we respect him, we love him so much, we love his work. So it's just like we feel like we didn't really get his vision in the movie, so it's like we want to see what he actually wanted.
Yeah.
So, you know, we just want more of, what you had in Justice League,
Right.
what we know you have. Can we just see it? We're not asking for, him to come back, and spend all this money. Just whatever you have in your little vault or wherever you have that stuff. Can we see it? That's pretty much it. Because
Look,
I feel like
That's actually very reasonable. That's very reasonable.
Look, keep on doing what you're doing. Listen, they watch this. They listen to the podcast. I have a close relationship to Warner Bros. So they're going to see what you're saying. I think, the only issue is that, and I think you're aware of this. You seem to be very sharp, smart young woman here. Their whole line was, Zack wasn't fired and he's just finishing. We're not going to talk about the horrible tragedy because I didn't want to even use that as part of the discussion. But Zack left, and the thing was, Josh was brought in to finish Zack's vision, and what they're saying is what you got in the theater is Zack's vision. For them to come full circle and say, "Oh well, we were lying back then. Here's that stuff." That's
we already know they messed up by the trailers, by what they cut out, all the stuff that was cut out in the trailers. So we already know.
And you said it earlier too. All the CGI upper lip on Cavill is obviously not him, and that's the majority of the scenes that he's unfortunately in this film. Well, listen, we're going to wrap this up with you.
Can I just say one more thing, real quick?
Absolutely, please. I was going to ask you a question.
Okay, 'cause, I just feel like, did Warner Brothers not see the response that the director's cut of BVS got? Like, they should go, they got like that. I know not everyone liked it more, but a lot of people I know that didn't like BVS. The theatrical cut, they saw the Ultimate Edition, they're like, oh my gosh, it's so much better. I actually like this movie now. So it's like, why didn't you see the response that got, and then the response the music always gets from his movies? Like, everyone pretty much always likes the music in Zack's films, and then it's like you didn't pay attention to that, so you got rid of Junkie, and then you are not listening to the fact that we want to see so they should kind of go by history, with the past responses they've gotten, be like, oh, you got a good response. Let's keep doing that instead of doing other stuff.
Hopefully, they've learned from their lesson. That, and I've said it a million times, and I don't know if you've read anything I've wrote or heard anything I've said, but the problem started as soon as Man of Steel came out, and it didn't make as much as they wanted it to, and then they panicked, and they got to Batman v Superman, and put Ben Affleck as Batman, and included Batman, and then it just kind of snowballed on them, and by the time BVS came out, Justice League was like filming was going to start filming 2 weeks later, so they were just they didn't do it the right way. Hopefully they will going forward. That's
right. There Henry Cavill should have had a proper Man of Steel sequel. We should have had a solo Ben Affleck Batman film and then bring it together. Unfortunately, that's not what happened. 2 questions for you, if you don't mind, just real quick. What's your favorite Zack Snyder film? And then second question, is there anything you would like to plug while you have some airtime? Mine is Watchmen, by the way, and then Man of Steel is a very close second, just so you know. I love them both.
Shoot. I guess I know you were gonna laugh at me, but I really love the director's cut of BVS. Like, I watched that a lot.
There's nothing wrong with you.
Nothing wrong with that. Yeah, it's
not at all.
That's probably my favorite. I love it, and I always cry when Superman gets killed every time.
One of the best scenes in that movie, and it's a great scene, and it's when he's telling Lois what he's about to go do, and he says, "This is my world, you're my world." That, I'm telling you, I have issues with Doomsday and the death of Superman, and I felt a lot of that was rushed, but I set that aside, and I can isolate that moment and say, that's why Henry Cavill deserves a sequel. That right there. That is a badass Superman scene, for sure.
Yes. See, I got you just talking about it, I got a little emotional. Oh God.
And then the Zimmer score in the background, it's good. It's not just good. That's a great moment. What anything you like to plug?
Plug whatever you would like. Twitter? Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I have my main channel is it's Itzmoe. Just search Itzmoe. I do a variety of stuff. It's not just comic stuff. I do like comedy sketches too, just vlogs and reactions and whatever I feel like making a video on, I do it. And currently I'm doing a fundraiser right now until May for the Dural Wildlife Conservation Fund. It's actually one of Henry Cavill's favorite organizations, and pretty soon I'm going to announce on my channel I'm going to do different dares to try to raise money for the fundraiser. I'm trying to reach my goal right now. I'm at like 15 or 17% right now. So basically, like if I reach a certain amount in the fundraiser, I'm going to do a certain dare. So they're going to be pretty embarrassing for me. So I'm going to announce what they are on my channel pretty soon. So if you want to see me do embarrassing stuff for charity, check out the channel.
Yeah, we'll put that on there for you too. Yeah.
All right,
this
before
is really
you go,
cool.
what's your favorite Batman movie, excluding BVS and Justice League? What's your favorite Batman movie?
Oh shoot! Oh my gosh! Oh gosh! I don't know. It's really hard, but okay. I mean, yeah, I love The Dark Knight, but I grew up really watching Batman Returns a lot, so because I love Christopher Walken, Michelle Pfeiffer, Danny DeVito. It's just like such a great cast.
It's a great cast.
So yeah,
I love Batman '89. I'll leave it there.
Yes.
But, hey, listen, you're a great fun and a great spirit, and we really appreciate you coming on and doing this for us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, we wish you all the
Anytime.
best.
Come
Okay.
back on again.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, please do. We'd love to have you back. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, Bill.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Rick, anything you want to plug real quick?
I'll just say follow me on Twitter, Shew Rick, and listen to everything that she said, and let's support her cause.
All right. Thanks very much. We'll catch you next time.
All right. Bye.